Along the Cedar Bend Highway, which leads from the golden city of Trigg to the port city of Ganier's Cove, lies a small town known as Harrock. It's not an important town, and doesn't even appear on any maps, yet it boasts an inn large enough to serve those passing from one city to the other, and is a common meeting place of travelers and wanderers. It is here your adventure begins. Hi, I'm Alex Schmidt. Welcome to Storytelling at the Table, a video series where I talk about RPGs as a form of storytelling. This is episode 2, You, the DM, are a storyteller. If you're watching this video, chances are you've thought about the fact that being a DM also means being a storyteller. Or perhaps you've never actually thought about it, but you've just sort of assumed it to be true. After all, the description I began this video with sounds like the introductory blurb to any number of D&D games, promising a new yet familiar setting where all sorts of adventures could take place. That blurb is storytelling, but it's barely a tiny snippet of the storytelling that you do over the course of a campaign. Being a DM storyteller and leading a group of players who are also storytellers through a series of adventures within the campaign has a huge number of facets, and we could probably spend as much time talking about that as you could running a campaign. But for the scope of this video, we're going to briefly look at 4 different ways that you as a DM are a storyteller: as a world builder, as an entertainer, as a facilitator, and as a fan. First off, you are a storyteller as a world builder. Whether you're running a pre-made adventure or creating your own from scratch, the story you are weaving for your players is one that comes out of a world that you are building. Perhaps the description I started this video with was provided by the campaign book, but perhaps not. Either way, you know the adventure is supposed to start with Katrina Ingram, a gnome farmer whose father has been kidnapped by brigands and seeks the hero's aid. But now you have to make that happen. Wanting to get straight to the adventure, perhaps you say the following. You enter the Two Steers, the single large inn that dominates the main road of Harrock. The common room is fairly empty. 2 gnomes who appear to be local farmers from their dress whisper in a corner near the fire and glance your way from time to time. A young halfling man sits alone at the bar chatting with the innkeep when she's not busy. After obtaining rooms, you settle yourselves at a table for dinner. As you're finishing up, one of the gnomes gets up and approaches your table. Or perhaps you want a loud, boisterous inn and want to give the players a chance for the characters to get to know each other before introducing them to the adventure hook. Both are okay. Good even. But each gives a different feel for the town and the world that you're building. Either way, though, you are building a world, and every detail you add to it will make it feel both more real and more specifically the world that you are building. You can do this as improv as you're running a game, or you can plan ahead, adding characters and details along the way. Either way, though, be intentional. Think about the feel you want the world to have for your players, and create or change details accordingly. If you are preparing the world ahead, watch out for the pitfall that adding endless details can be. If you're having fun, that's great, but it can easily become overwhelming and turn into a black hole of work that you can never finish. One way to flesh out the hometown or any other town your adventuring party might be in is that each time you sit down for session prep, add 1 new NPC. Give them an occupation and a single goal or quirk, and soon you'll have a fully fleshed out town of NPCs for your players to interact with. Or if you already do, you can always add 1 or 2 details to an NPC who already exists. This can work for NPCs that came from a pre-built campaign, as well as ones you've made yourself. Secondly, you're a storyteller as an entertainer. When my dad first introduced me to D&D, he told me we were going to play a game and all we needed to play were some paper, pencil, and dice. At the wise old age of 5, I thought that sounded dumb, and was thoroughly prepared to have to practice my writing or letters or some other kind of schoolwork, and that my parents were just pretending it was a game. Instead, I embarked on an adventure, granted not a very deep one, but it kept me and my siblings entertained for hundreds of hours over the course of my childhood. When you decide to DM a game, you're making a similar promise to a group of people, that you will keep them entertained for tens, if not hundreds of hours, with a story that you're leading them through. That probably sounds incredibly intimidating. I know it does to me. But amazingly, it's not actually that hard to do. After all, you're not doing it all at once, and it turns out that the players can bring a lot of entertainment themselves. There are a couple of implications that come out of this, though. First, you are telling a story that is primarily for the entertainment of the players. Take the time to think about what they enjoy. It's going to be a bit different for each group, and it will probably take some trial and error, and that's okay. Some people will prefer more action and combat in their story, while others prefer puzzles and intrigue, and some appreciate the conversations between the characters around the fire more than anything else. It's okay to try things. You're going to spend a lot of time entertaining these people. So, if you try something and it doesn't go over well, that's okay. But at the same time, you never know where you'll end up creating a memorable moment or character. For example, what if you make the innkeeper of the Two Steers obsessed with exercise, but embarrassed about it? The next morning, you get up early and heft your packs to make your way to scout out the brigand camp. As you make your way downstairs, you see the innkeep, Valerie Willowstead, doing pull-ups on one of the kegs behind the bar. When she sees you, she quickly stops. You're up early. Can I get you some breakfast for the road? This can be done just like I just did. Or you could do it without speaking in character or using voice, just depending on what you and your group are comfortable with. Speaking in character and using your voice can add a lot to the storytelling, but not if it's stressful and overwhelming. Tackle stuff like that only as you feel comfortable. Either way, though, creating simple interactions such as this can lead to a ton of entertainment for you and your players, and help your world feel more alive and real at the same time. Thirdly, you're a storyteller as a facilitator. The party has found the bandit camp nestled up to a cliff, but there are more bandits than they're comfortable fighting, so they decide that they're going to rappel their way down the cliff to free the farmer's father. But then someone sneezes. The bandits are alerted. A bandit tackles one of the characters as they're fleeing up the cliffside, knocking them prone, but they're hanging in the air. Wait, how does that work? What do we do? Facilitating isn't the most glorious part of storytelling, but in a game like D&D, it's very important. In the above scenario, the story in the game could grind to a halt as you and the players pull out rulebooks or your phones and try to find the answer to how this works. Do ranged attacks get disadvantage? Does it take 20 feet movement to stand up even though you were kind of standing at a 90-degree angle anyway? Before this happened, the story was escalating to the climactic moment of the adventure, but by the time you're back in the combat, all the tension has been lost, with everyone's focus on the mechanical side of things and not the exciting story that was taking place. Imagine instead that this comes up and you as a DM make a snap decision, the players accept it, and the combat continues. Not only is the combat more fun because you didn't have to stop playing to look up the rules, but the story is also more compelling as all the tension and excitement stays and the story flows to the final daring escape. Finally, you're a storyteller as a fan. One of the most important things to remember when running the story of a D&D game is to remember that the players' characters are always the main characters of the story. The story should revolve around them, and they should be more important than anyone else in the room. Embrace that. That is amazing for you. You get to be excited about their characters and legitimately surprised and impressed by what they do. You get to be the hero's biggest fan. And when you are, the players are going to feel that. They're going to know that you're excited by what they're doing, and that's going to empower them so much. Being a fan is one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal as a DM. It empowers your players to tell an awesome story. Because remember, they're storytellers too. Some of the best moments as a DM are when you get to just sit back and watch the players as they come up with crazy ideas and plans. Enjoy that. Enjoy them. And be sure to reward them when they manage to pull off their crazy stunts and save the day. Entering the two steers, you are met with cries of joy and relief. Katrina rushes to her father, hugging him to her, before looking up, her eyes going from one of you to another. Thank you. Thank you so much. Her father was not willing to be nearly so subtle. Gathering a cloud of locals, he began to recount the daring cliffside rescue, his descriptions making the fight even more flamboyant and absurd than it actually was. As you settle down for a well-earned drink, on the house, of course, Valerie Willowstead approaches you. Well, it's official. You're heroes now, like it or not. So, what are you going to call yourselves? Thanks for watching Storytelling at the Table Episode 2. You, as the DM, are a storyteller. In this video, we talked about how you're a storyteller in 4 ways: as a world builder, as an entertainer, as a facilitator, and as a fan. Well, this is far from an exhaustive list. Hopefully this discussion got you thinking about how you can be a better storyteller, bringing the story to the forefront of the game without it being a ton of extra work. Let me know in the comments if anything I said here was especially useful, or if you'd like me to expound upon any of these ideas in a later video. Also, please be sure to let me know what other tips and tools you have for being a better storyteller as a DM. I'm always trying to learn as well. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. I'll be uploading new videos on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of each month. In the next episode, we'll be looking at the story elements of a specific adventure, a daring rescue, and how you can use those elements to bring cohesion and excitement to the table. Until then, keep telling stories.